I still wonder if the pre-state made it more confusing. Now we're going to do John Sherman's interview. John Sherman says the ball club also comments on the trade deadline.
Where do you sit right now as far as where things are with your leadership group on the baseball side and you know, the confidence moving forward?
Specifically with leadership?
Yeah, and the baseball with JJ and his staff
I've got great confidence in JJ. I've got great confidence in Q. You know, there were some changes made last year. And we set out to kind of see where we are, and that's and we're finding out where we are. And as you said, it you know, some things didn't develop perhaps at the pace we wanted. We had some injuries. So what I'm impressed by right now is that JJ, and he's made a very objective evaluation of where we are and that we're talking about. If you think about the team itself, we have a core. We have some people, we have some guys that could develop into role players, and we have some part of the roster we're going to have to turn over here. And where we add, I mean, that's still to be discussed. But I have been, I would just tell you at the trade deadline. I mean, there's things that everybody sees the results of that. But I will say this, and I went into that room a few times, and I don't want to be in there too much because these guys
right.
are pros at it. I'm just like practicing medicine without a license for me. But what I was impressed by, and there are some things that did not happen. Well, what I was impressed by is that there were some deals on the board that showed that this group was willing to take risk, was willing to make some deals that were going to hurt in the short term, and that we'd hear about it, maybe from fans, maybe from the media. And they didn't happen, but I guess I was impressed by the willingness to take risk. And then on the other side of that, I was just as impressed by the fact that when the other team started to change that deal, and it was very dynamic, right? I mean, because you got an offer on the table, but when the counterparty started to dilute that deal and lower the return, our guys held their ground and didn't chase it. And that discipline is also really important to me, not only because we don't want to make a bad trade, but if you project that when you say something, you got to mean it, and it doesn't mean you can't tinker with the deal a little bit, but the teams that start chasing deals, when you start pulling away, people will get in the habit of coming to you and trying to do that too. Sure. So it's very proud of both the willingness to take risks, aggressive but not reckless, but then also the discipline to walk away when the deal wasn't right.
John Sherman asked about if their scouting and minor league club needs additions. We've added some analytics scouts and analytic guys, and look to add more. This is Sam Vaughn with Sam Sports Report.
Things that, and maybe JJ's talked to you about it, but one of the things when we brought in Q and Hoover and Zach Bove and Brian Sweeney and others, the demand on, all of a sudden the demands on Daniel Mack and his staff just took off, right? Because it's really, and which was really a good thing. And so I would say that they are staffing up some more. But what I think is exciting about it is, the thing, when you have the data, the key is getting it to the right place, getting it to the dugout, and you have people that can collaborate and use it effectively. And so I would just say that the dugout is putting more pressure on the analytics group, and that's a good thing.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So we've made some investments in people, but also technology. We found out there were some things on the technology side that we didn't have when we
experts that see for the Royals. Why wouldn't you? Walk right on in. They are the official healthcare provider of the Royals and Chiefs at the University of Kansas Health System, as well as thousands of middle school, high school, and college athletes in the area. If you have a sports injury, why would you go anywhere else? Learn more. /sports medicine. I asked John Sherman why a new stadium gives us a better chance to see winning baseball in Kansas City.
Well, of course, that's not the only thing that we have to do to be sustained. There are a lot of things. We just talked about having prospects, making sure, upgrading our farm system, be willing to trade players when their value is higher, so we get more back. I mean, it's another way to build.
Sure. You
got to draft right, but you use that talent to acquire. But as it relates to the stadium, I think we've talked about it quite a bit. When we bought this team, we knew we had an aging stadium out there, 52 years old, going to be 60 years. It's been a great place, and frankly, still is a great place to play baseball. When I'm sitting up there and I look down on it, it's, in fact, sitting with Steve Cohen, his wife's saying, look, I know the stadium's old, but it certainly shows well, right? It's like, I think somebody said it's like a fine wine, right?
Right.
But I'm seeing a lot of other things. And then the other thing, we got 30 franchises, and, Oakland is, if you think about, and I'm not relating this to us, but, I think with a couple of franchises right now, we can expand, right? And not that that's the objective, but for us, and if you look around Major League Baseball, we need a world-class ballpark that is competitive with our peers, and not just competitive. When I say our peers, it's not just the 29 other teams. We're an entertainment business, right? We're competing for eyeballs, both in the stadium and over the air. So it's really competing for all of the other options that young people have, right? And so we need a modern, world-class facility from a fan experience standpoint. We also need to create that vibrancy and that energy around a ballpark that brings people to that location 365 days a year. So that economic activity, and when you think about from a business standpoint, the sustainability, certainly would expect to grow our revenues both from the stadium itself and by ownership of the real estate around it. And the objective would be to put that money back on the field.
Good afternoon. This is Sam Vaughn for Sam Sports Report. The Royals I-70 series begins with a 2-game set. Now the Royals have lost 2 out of the last 4 and lost 2 in a row for the second time after winning 7 in a row. The Royals will start a 2-game set in Kansas City. I-70 series against the Cardinals. Adam Wainwright will go for the Cardinals. His Hall of Fame career is struggling right now. Dylan Coleman will go for the Royals. His ERA is over 10. He'd probably be the opener, although why the hell not when he won't be a starter. Nothing much else is going well for him right now. Game time is at 7:05 p.m. There'll probably be more Cardinals fans in Royals games as the Royals and Cardinals get set for a 2-game set. The Cubs will Jays. Javier Arias will go for the Cubs, and Jose Barrios will go for the Jays. The Cubs stand 3 games over 500, but 2.5 back. The Jays are 65-52, but voted AL East stayed 3rd and 7 games back. The White Sox play the number 1 team in the NL, who the Cubs are behind, and the Reds are behind. The Cubs are 3 games over 500 and just half a game back now. The White Sox will play the number 1 team in the NL Central, the Brewers, or the Cubs. Brewers will have Corbin Burns on the mound. Michael Kopech will go for the White Sox. Game time 7:10. Football is back for all teams. Their first preseason game will be this weekend. The 8 Texans beat the Patriots 20-9. The Seahawks and Vikings played as well. The Seahawks won 24-13. For tonight's games, it will be the Green Bay Packers against the Bengals NFL Network. Giants and Lions, 6 o'clock. And Falcons Dolphins, 6 o'clock. Steelers Buccaneers, 6 o'clock. Washington Commanders Browns, 6 o'clock. And at 9 o'clock, the Broncos and Cardinals. Real quickly, the Bears will play the Titans. I think we need to see more out of Fields this season. That game kicks off at 12 tomorrow. The Chiefs will play the Saints. That game kicks off at 12 tomorrow. Andy Reid will play Mahomes for a little bit, although I would not like to see him at all. It just makes me feel a little bit better about injuries. Chiefs have L'Jarius Sneed hurt. Kadarius Toney remains hurt. Isaiah Pacheco probably won't play. He'll leave him for the regular season or later on games in the preseason. Chris Jones holding out still. Some of my ideas are posted on this link. Chris Jones needs to get a deal done. Here's a little bit. Chris Jones hold out. Chiefs, he owes the Chiefs $1 million, but probably take it out when he re-signs a new deal or comes back as there'll be no hard feelings, maybe. That's what they'll say. When the Chiefs players hold out, especially Chris Jones, who makes $20 million a year, is very hold out. It's frankly spoiled for every player to hold out. Right now, a lot of people are doing it. Some people work for $13 an hour or $10 an hour. Minimum wage in Missouri is $12. This is Sam Vaughn for Sam's Sports Report.